So today, I do want to show you how to open up an image that you might be downloading from your iPhone or from your Google Drive that when you open it, you get an error message. So oftentimes, when you have these downloads, you will find you try to open it up and you get an error message on Photoshop saying it can't parse the file or this file type cannot be opened. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a workaround. So what you want to do is find that picture to start with. And I'm going to just go to one of my random pictures. And there we go. And double click on it. You're going to open it using the regular photo viewer that your computer has. Mine, unfortunately, is super laggy right now. So we're going to give it a second and I'm going to get you to a place though. There we go. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Really laggy, sorry guys. Okay, well that's about as zoomed out as I can. So once it's in this window, I'm going to go ahead right here and click on these three dots. When I click on these three dots, I'm going to select copy. So it's going to copy that picture just like you would copy and paste into Word, for example. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to Photoshop and I'm going to open up, in this case, I'm going to open up a new blank document. Very seldom in digital photography will you ever need to open up a new document. Usually you just open up a document and it's a photograph that you'll be editing. But in this case, we're going to start off with like a blank piece of paper. And I am going to switch this over. I can put it on US paper. I may want to make it match a little bit more with the size of the image. My image is wider. It's a landscape image. It's wider versus taller, okay? I might swap these. I might say I'm going to go 11 by 8.5, making sure I'm still on inches. And then I'm going to say okay. So now my document is a little bit wider, which will match my picture better. I'm going to go ahead and say edit and paste or Control V. Give it a minute because my computer again is very slow. And now my image is placed without having that worry about it not downloading properly or not opening up in Photoshop properly. That's our workaround for this for right now. You won't have to worry about that too often from here on out because a lot of the pictures will be from your memory cards on your DSLR cameras. In this case, if your picture kind of has a lot of white around the outside or it's abnormally shaped, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tools down, there's a crop function. So when you go to that crop function, again, look at, we've got that little arrow. Oh, there's other things under there. Just in case this one's sitting out there and you're like, I don't have it. Yes, you do. It's just a different tool that was out there. But we've got our crop function. You see that it opens up these little handles right on the edge. I'm going to drag that one down to match the picture. I'm going to drag that one up to match the picture and make sure I like how it's framed. And then just press the Enter key. Okay? Now, when I first put this in, you can see now my background layer is white because that was my original background layer. I am going to, again, gut reaction, the very first thing that you do before starting the edits, Control J. You need to have a copy, and I'm going to double click on the name and call that edit. So that's my edited version because we are doing some destructive editing. We're editing the picture directly. For those of you that are going over here and using these, please do not do that right now. There is a rhyme and reason and a method to my madness. I'm hoping you guys can just trust me on that. If you're over here using these, if your adjustments look like this, then you're using an adjustment layer. We definitely don't want that. We want to be able to, and I'm going to just throw that out, we want to go up into our image, adjustment, and then levels, image adjustment, hue, saturation. And if you're a little bit more adept at it, maybe you've done some editing, maybe some Photoshop before, you may decide you want to, you may decide to look at a few more of those other elements. But again, levels and hue and saturation are the two things that I will be looking at for this particular image. Okay? So, that is what I want to see. We start off with levels. You can do auto. Again, I can pull this off to the side. You can see what it did. Control Z, that was before. Control Z, that's the after. Hey, I like what it did. So that was a good auto. It's not always going to work out for you with auto though. So you want to grab these sliders and you really want to work with those images in particular and those color profiles the light values, the medium values, and then the dark values to balance. We don't touch out here. Once I'm happy, I go there. I then go Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation. I can saturate a little bit more if I wanted a little bit more color. Now it's a little bit of a creepier image, especially with the spider in there with the calla lily, which is typically sort of like a flower of death, if you will. This was a random find of mine. I thought it was really cool. I was in a really great garden space up in Wisconsin and found this. I could desaturate and really soften up that color and make it look a little darker, a little less cute. You know, I want to pull some of that color back, so I'm desaturating. I'm not fully making it a black and white, but that still would be a beautiful image for a black and white. So I'm going to desaturate some. I also can nudge my hue and saturation slightly higher or lower. Lower, I personally don't care for. It warms it up too much. So if anything, I would move it a little above and cool it off a little bit. But I'm still happy with the colors in its original self at 0. Okay? So that is really where I would be at that point in time. This is where I would screenshot. Again, that Windows key is on the lower left-hand side of your keyboard. You need to promise me that as I pass by your desks, if you do not know how to screenshot, that you will ask me. I won't laugh at you. I won't yell at you. If you learn it now, it'll make the rest of your semester much easier instead of like getting zeros because you have no screenshots. So I would screenshot. I would go ahead, hold the Windows key and press the print screen. You can see my screen grayed out a little bit. Some of your screens are not graying out when they do the print screen. So be understanding of that. You can always check. We're going to go into our Explorer under our pictures. We're going to scroll down and go to our screenshots all the way to the highest number, and that is my screenshot of my work for today. My screenshot shows my image, it shows that I have an edit layer, and it shows that I have an original layer. For you guys, it's going to show a background layer. You won't necessarily have this plain white layer, which is perfectly fine. That was for my workaround, okay? So again, I really want you guys to work very carefully. I really want you to work very thoughtfully to make sure that you have these edits done. Now here, if I file and I save, it's actually going to pop up with a prompt. And at this point in time, it is defaulting to a PSD or Photoshop format. That means I did something right, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this. I'm going to go to my H drive. Again, that's your ID number. You can go ahead to your digital photo folder if you have one. Hopefully you will make one if you don't. And you're going to give it a name. You can call it Jen's First Edit. Notice I don't really put any punctuation, any kind of apostrophes or commas or dashes or periods in the name. That's very important. And when I save that, that is the file I will upload along with my screenshot. So that is really what you are doing today to show me your work before we start moving with our next level.